what would you say, because of all of the things that people do see on social media that you respond to, is one of the most common things about Christianity that is misunderstood, that people seem to get wrong, but it's used as a well-articulated argument?
It's a good question. I think there are concerns about understanding the Bible's story, in that I don't think Alex falls into this camp. I think he's got a much more nuanced and careful read, and he's done theology study at Oxford. But many people read the Bible and almost treat it as though it's a flat book with rules that are dropped out of heaven as the perfect expression of God's moral vision for human beings at all times and places everywhere. And things like the moral argument, that we think the existence of God best grounds our intuition that something's wrong, best grounds the concept of objective moral values and duties, that there really is a good to which we should be aiming. That doesn't take away from situational reasoning, which is what Scripture so often engages in. Given the parameters of this situation, what's the best option right now? Not just what's the lesser of two evils, which I think is a lower form of this, but what is the greatest good in this possible scenario given the cultural and resource limitations? And I think that's a lot of what we see within the Old Testament covenant, for instance, is sort of case law playing out within the Torah of, right, we find ourselves in a fallen world between Genesis 3 and Revelation 20. The bookends of Scripture, Genesis 1 and 2 and Revelation 21 and 2, well, those are God's will done on earth as in heaven. That's where God's perfect will plays out. But between those bookends, then, we're in a fallen story where our cultures are far from the ideal of what God would have, of what it means to love God and neighbor, and that there are cultural limitations then placed on trying to move this human project forward. And so you've got a scenario where something terrible has happened. What is the best possible outcome here? Well, it's not to reverse that scenario entirely. It's already played out. What do you do now given this situation? And that's much of the ethical reasoning within the Old Testament covenant, even amongst what the apostles are working with in the New Testament. The ideals are given in the positive commands. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself.